there, it's Jimmy with Fancy Schmancy Wino. That's Jimmy, not James. James is at home, probably looking into his next hobby, which I have to believe is going to be gold prospecting and metal detectors. We're here today to drink wine. This week, bubbly, sparkling wines. And yes, those are the same thing. What's not the same thing as champagne, which is what you're going to hear everybody say, is have some champagne. Just as a refresher, in case you're somewhat new to wine like me, James, champagne is, well, it's champagne, it's a bubbling wine, but it's specifically made in the Champagne region of France. And it's the only thing that can be called champagne. But not to be confused with the only type of sparkling wines, there are many. Champagne, probably the premier one of them, made with, I believe, 3 different grapes. You can get it with, well, they use a white grape, it's Chardonnay. They also use red grapes to make champagne. They use Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier. Now, sometimes they use all 3, sometimes they use a mixture of them, sometimes they just use the Chardonnay, and that's when you see Blanc de Blanc. But regardless, that's just one of them. You can also when you're bubbly shopping this holiday season, you'll see cava, which is the Spanish version, essentially, of champagne. It's made in the same fashion, same method. Different grapes. It uses the Grea? No. It's the other one. Macabeo, Parellada, and Cerelo? Another grape name, variety there, I can't name. Doesn't matter. Uses 3 grapes, not involved in the production of champagne, and not made in the same country. And that's cava. And then the third one that you'll see a lot of as you're doing your bubbly shopping this season is Prosecco, which is from Italy. And they use, well, the main grape at least is Glera. All cool. All perfectly, viable choices for your holiday needs, but those are by no means the only ones you can get. I mean, there's tons of sparkling wines from all over the world. We're going to look at a couple, well, one this week and one next week, or at least I am, that are not any of those 3 things. This week, we'll be looking at this Dr. Heidemann's Bergweiler Riesling Brut Sekt, which I will hold this up to the camera and you won't be able to see, but I'll see if we can throw a photo up on there. It's just to point out that there are a lot of wines with bubbles in them. This one happens to be a Riesling. You can find other wines out there from all other types, tons of varieties from all over the world. This one's just a German Riesling. It is kind of unique for, I don't know if it's unique is the right word, but it's different for a sparkling wine. It's still made in the traditional method like champagne and cava, which is not always going to be the case when you get into some of the other sparkling wines. In fact, it's primarily not the case. They're going to be made in a tank. But anyway, enough about the technical stuff that doesn't even matter. Let's drink this wine. Now, I do have one of these handy-dandy champagne corks on there, because I already tried some of it. My bad. It was tasty, but I didn't review it. So we're going to do it again, and this time I'm going to review it. If I had a good voice, I'd sing Tiny Bubbles from Don Ho for you right now, but I don't. You're in luck. It does have the you'll read a lot about the different sizes of bubbles depending on the method that they make it. I'm not an expert enough in sparkling wines to go down that road with you, but I will tell you that this has little bubbles. I don't know what that means, but they're in there. Color, nice, I'd say pale gold, but very clear, very brilliant. Give it a whiff. Lots of bright and clean and citrus with a little bit of a You know, I think this one would probably throw me. If I didn't know that it was a Riesling, I might say that it has some Pinot Gris to it. Anyway, citrus. Let's give it a taste. That is nice. Lots of acid, which is really nice. It's a kind of unique thing about by this having that the amount of acid that it's got, and probably because it's a Riesling, even though it's a brut, so we're talking it's dry. It doesn't taste it. Like if you had I think if you had this the non-sparkling version of this, you might not have the same. I don't know. Faux sweetness? Is that that's what I'm going to call it? Faux sweetness. It's nice. I dig it. Nice long linger, and then you get kind of a bit of a toasty finish. Real light though, not. I've had some champagnes where you get a very strong, toasty, creamy finish on it. This doesn't have that, but a little bit. I like it. So there's my really unwordy review on this Dr. Heinemann Burgerweiler Riesling Brut Sekt. If you want to try a bubbly this year and don't want to go for a champagne, pick up a bottle of this. I think I paid $22 or something like that, a total wine. I'm gonna give it an A-. I like it quite a bit. It's a great alternative to a champagne. You can't really find a champagne that's one you're gonna want to drink for under, I don't know, $40, $30-40. This is for sure less, and I think it's as good. Quite tasty, and I like it. I like it a lot. I like it better than a lot of Proseccos that I've had recently. So, that said, what would I pair it with? Well, any of your champagne fare, I suppose, but yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Let's just call this the champagne drink. You know what I want to pair it with, and I think I will when I'm done with this video, is orange juice. I want a mimosa, and it is 11 o'clock in the morning here, so seems appropriate. Cheers. When we see you next week, I'll be trying something slightly different. I'll be trying, well, I shouldn't say slightly different, a lot different. We're going to be trying a sparkling red, specifically a Shiraz. So, see you then. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Fancy Schmancy Wino. I'm James, not Jimmy, but I suspect since you've already watched the first half of this video, you knew that. I'm not sure where he said I was. I think he's on the West Coast somewhere where you can get pretty much any wine you want. I, on the other hand, am in Indiana right now, and we're a little challenged. As you saw earlier, we're going to drink a sparkling Riesling this week, and I think it was even my idea. As we enter the holiday season, as we debated what wines do we want to drink, what wines we want to try, we thought sparkling going into New Year just made perfect sense. Champagne, Cava, Prosecco, and as we went back and forth, I thought sparkling Riesling is one that maybe you haven't tried. It might be a lot of fun. I've enjoyed the ones I've tried, and so we decided on that. And you saw Jimmy's video a minute ago. Here in Indiana, couldn't find it. In fact, the gentleman at the wine store said he wasn't sure they made such a thing. Well, I assure you they make such a thing, and you all know that now. So here in Indiana, for the second half of this video, we're going to try a local wine. This wine comes from Oliver Winery. Oliver is the oldest and largest winery in Indiana. Nowhere near the age or size of, say, a Napa winery, but starting in the early 70s, Professor Oliver built and grew this into a family-owned business and eventually an employee-owned business. And they have several wines, including some reds that are a little more unique to Indiana, like Cabernet Sauvignon. But with the growth and popularity of the sparkling wine movement, they decided to introduce their line of Bubblecraft wines, Bubblecraft White and Bubblecraft Red. we're going to introduce you to Bubblecraft White. It is, like I said, a sparkling wine. What makes it unique is much like you don't see a lot of sparkling Rieslings, I bet very few of you have seen sparkling Niagara. Niagara grape is actually the most common grown grape in the US. Probably not very popular anywhere else in the world. I think South America has a purple version of it, but it's a sweet grape. And so we're going to have an expectation that we're going to get a sweet wine out of this. But let's go ahead and pour it and see what we have. Oliver's Bubblecraft. Well, sparkling, that much is good. Not as, say, fizzy or effervescent as a champagne or maybe even Prosecco's. They refer to this as bubbly infused or bubbles infused. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know anybody there, so I wasn't able to find out what they do. They don't claim to be making this in the champagne method. But nonetheless, a nice sparkling wine. As you can see in the video, it's kind of got a light yellow hue, maybe a really light hay. Yeah, I mean, it's pale, but definitely not white. So let's go ahead and get in there and see what it smells like. The first thing that comes to mind is actually, for me, Riesling. It's got kind of some floral notes, a little sweet. Reading up, Riesling sometimes even has a kind of a chemical smell or a diesel smell. I'm not getting that at all. So for the Niagara grape, I'm getting clean, crisp, little sweet smelling, some floral notes, and so just a nice smelling white wine. As I said, I'm expecting it to be rather sweet. The Bubblecraft Red is made with Concord, which is basically purple Welch's grape juice fermented. And so let's go ahead and try Niagara and see where it falls on the scale. Cheers. Yeah, very sweet. Actually, what I'm reminded of is a Welch's grape juice again, the white. If you've had their white grape juice, there's some fizz. It's there and then gone. It's not a long-lasting fizz. It's not. You don't get the same effect going down as you would a nice champagne or a nice cava. But enough to be bubbly, enough to be sparkling. Very sweet. Yeah, I mean, like a Sauvignon Blanc, you're going to be looking for citrus or lemon. Riesling is a little sweeter, and you might get some fruit on that. In this case, I'm just getting sweet grape juice. So for those of you that aren't a big fan of your big wines, your dry wines, certainly Oliver's Bubblecraft White can meet your needs. Sweet, easy drinking. Well, I mean, I'm reminded of like summertime wines where just you drink the whole bottle without really thinking a whole lot about it. The problem, of course, is we're talking about holidays and it's not that time of year. Still, at your parties and your get-togethers, I can imagine that you may have cheese trays. This would be an easy drinking aperitif before your meal. Have it with some cheese. If you are going to have it with a meal, better be something light, a chicken. I wouldn't even have like a gravy. Maybe a lemon chicken might be nice. But really, I'm thinking before the meal with some cheese, maybe even as a dessert wine. It's too sweet for me to enjoy as a regular part of a meal or a regular evening out. Not surprised, maybe you aren't either. I hope you enjoyed the video earlier with the Riesling. I wish I had drank a Riesling with you guys. Next week we're going to continue on with bubbly and sparkling wines. I think Jimmy's picked something nice out for us to experience together. Fingers crossed I find that one. If not, I'll introduce you to something else different from our area. So for Fancy Schmancy Wino, I'm James. Cheers. That's sweet.